Hey guys, I will occasionally record some videos if I don't feel that your video that you've been assigned in your curriculum explains things clearly. So on slide 6, when it explains the power of a quotient property, I didn't feel like your other slides did very good. They just kind of gave you the question and then they showed you the answer. They didn't show you how you got to the answer. So I'm going to go through a few examples and hopefully that'll help you. All right, so on this one we have 2 to the thirds squared. Okay, now when we have something in parentheses and then we have an exponent on the outside, this is the same thing. We have to raise both the numerator and the denominator to that power. So 2 over 3 squared is the same thing as 2 squared over 3 squared. Okay, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9. This would be your final answer. All right, so same concept here. We have something in parentheses. So we have 4x over y squared in parentheses to the third power. Now, anytime you have more than one term put together, this 3 goes both to the 4 and to the x, and then to the y squared as well. So this is just 4x to the third over y squared to the third. And if we just look at the numerator here, this is the same thing as saying 4 to the third times x to the third, because this 3 goes to both of these, over y squared to the third, so that'd just be y to the 2 times 3. All right, 4 to the third power is just 4 times 4 times 4, remember, which is 64. And then we just have x to the third over 2 times 3 is 6, so y to the 6th. This would be your answer to this. I want to encourage you to try to do this one on your own using what you've learned from the previous two. So I encourage you to pause this, try to do it on your own, and then check your answer after you've tried on your own. All right, hopefully you tried that on your own, and then here is the worked out solution. Here's the fourth and final one. Once again, I encourage you to pause this and try to do this on your own. And then after you're done trying it on your own, check your answer with what I give you. And here's your worked out solution for this one. All right, guys, now I'm going to go over a few of the harder cards. Once again, the same kind of deal. They just gave you a card and then they gave you the answer. They didn't tell you how to get from point A to point B. So I'm going to go over that. So this one, we start with 6a to the 6th power b squared over 3a squared b. Okay, now what I like to do is kind of separate these. Okay, so this is just 6 times a to the 6th times b squared. And the bottom is 3 times a squared times b. So I've kind of separated them out. And the reason I've separated them out is because I think it's a lot easier to look at this into smaller components. Okay, so I'm going to break them apart even more. So this is the same thing as 6/3 times a to the 6th over a squared times b squared over b. Now you don't have to do it this way, but I think it's a lot easier because now you have like 3 separate components almost. So as you can see here, 6 over 3, remember a fraction? This is just a divided by symbol, guys. So this is the same thing as 6 divided by 3, which is 2, times, well, a to the 6th over a to the 2 is the same thing as a to the 6 minus 2 power, times, and then b squared over b, same thing as just b to the 2 minus 1 power. Remember, if there's no power here, it's a 1. And if we simplify it a little bit more, we're just left with 2a, 6 minus 2 is 4, b, 2 minus 1 is just b, so 2a to the 4th b, which is exactly what we're supposed to get. All right, let's do another one. So this one here, I'm going to rewrite this. This is just -4 times a cubed, and then 6 times a squared. Okay, and right now these parentheses aren't really serving a purpose, so I'm just going to rewrite this as, let me get another color, -4 times a cubed times 6 times a squared. All right, now I want you to think for a minute. I hope we could all agree that we can multiply these in any order, and it doesn't really matter which order we multiplied in, we're going to get the same response. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put like the numbers together. So we have this -4 and 6, so -4 times 6. I like to cross them off when I use them, just so I don't double use them or I don't forget them. Times, well then we have a to the 3rd times a squared. So all I've done is I've taken this and I've kind of rearranged it. Same thing. Well, notice the reason I did this is because these are right next to each other. Well, those are just numbers, so we can multiply those together. So 6 times -4 is -24 times a to the 3rd times a squared is just a to the 3 plus 2 power. So our final answer then would be -24. A to the 3 plus 2 is 5th. So once again, -24 a to the 5th, -24 a to the 5th. All right, guys. A lot of people get confused by these negative exponents, and they can be a little tricky sometimes. And then they also can get tricked up by these fractions. So when I have a fraction, I like to break things down to where they don't look so overwhelming. So I'm going to break this down into 3rs to the -2 over 1. Okay, so I'm going to essentially break this into its own group and this into its own group. So times 1 over 3 squared r squared s to the -4. Okay, all I did is I broke this up. I'm going to focus on the numerator here in the blue, and I'm going to focus on the denominator here in the green. Okay, so 3rs to the -2. Anytime we have a negative power, that means if it's in the numerator currently, this negative power tells us it's going to go to the denominator. So this is just over 3rs, okay? And when we bring it to the bottom, that negative becomes a positive, okay? So we just have a 1 on top. Times, well, let's look at this. 1 here. This 3 squared is 9, r squared, and once again we have a negative exponent. So s to the -4. If we move this to the top, then we can change this exponent into a positive, so times s to the +4. Okay, now I can just multiply straight across. Actually, I can't. I need to take care of this first. Remember, something in parentheses to an exponent, it goes to every single thing inside the parentheses. Okay, so this is just 1 over 3 squared times r squared times s squared. And then I still have the 1 times s to the 4th is just s to the 4th over 9r squared. All right, if I simplify this just a little more, this is 1 over, well, 3 squared is 9, r squared, s squared, times s to the 4th, 9r squared. Now, if I multiply these guys, I just multiply straight across. So 1 times s to the 4th is s to the 4th over, well, 9 times 9 is 81. times r squared times r squared is r to the 2 plus 2 power times, we just have 1s squared, so s squared here. So if I simplify this a little bit more, s to the 4th over 81 r to the 4th s squared. Now notice we have an s to the 4th and an s squared, so we would subtract those exponents. So 4 minus 2 is 2. So s squared over 81 r to the 4th. And that is our final answer, which is what we should have gotten. All right, here's another difficult card. I highly encourage you, now that we've done an example of fractions and negative exponents, I highly encourage you to pause this video, try to work this out on your own, do as much as you can, and then check yourself after you're done. All right, here's the worked out solutions. All right, here's the last hard card, even though this one isn't as hard as the other ones. So I encourage you to pause this, try it on your own, see if you can't get to the final answer, and then I will have it all worked out for you. And here's your worked out solution to this one.